What's up, y'all? So today we're going to do top 5 UFC strikers of all time, in my opinion. Now, leave a comment down below who your top 5 would be, and then leave 2 runner-ups. Leave them down below. I'm curious to see what you guys would say for all my UFC buffs out there, because I'm about to give you mine, and mine's about to be flame. I'm telling you, it's about to be flame. So let's get right into it. Thank you guys for the likes, the comments, the subscribes, even the views. Like, just the fact that you're watching this right now, thank you. And so my first UFC striker of all time, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Oh yeah, we're starting off with flame. So I choose Joanna because, first of all, she probably had one of the best striking performances with Weili. Even though she lost, some people might say, shoot, I think I might have had her winning initially in that fight. And that was one of the best, if not the best, UFC striking performance I've seen from 2 individuals, period, in the octagon. Women, men, I don't care. That was a goddamn Dragon Ball Z fight. And then how she mauled Carla Esparza, mauled her to win the title, to go on her 6-fight title win streak, and all of them were by just striking murders. She just destroyed everybody when it came to punches and kicks to the face, front kicks to the face, round kicks to the leg and to the body. She was just a Muay Thai and kickboxing practitioner. And what I think makes her a great striker is that she's able to defend takedowns as well. She's hardly ever on her back, hardly ever on the ground. That's also what I believe helps make you a great striker, being able to defend the takedown. And she was beautiful at that. And another mention is definitely her fight against Panay. That was just a clinic that she put on. You know, she put on this pace that just melted her, literally melted her. I think like, didn't the ref end up just stopping it just because she was just getting her face beaten in? And these were, especially Panay, she was known as a decent striker. And so Joanna Jędrzejczyk, definitely first on my list. And none of these are in order, so don't be like, oh, how is she? None of these are in order, by the way. Okay, next up, Israel Adesanya. I mean, I think Izzy should be on everybody's list, honestly. It's like saying the best basketball players of all time. Michael Jordan should definitely be on your list. Michael Jordan should be on your list, on everybody's list. If you're saying top 5 basketball players of all time, if you don't put Michael Jordan on it, what are you doing? You know? And so I think Israel Adesanya, when it comes to strikers, is also one of those people where it's like, did you see what he did to Derek Brunson? Did you see what he did to Paulo Costa? Did you see what he did to Robert Whittaker? His striking performances were almost unmatched in a sense, especially within, the last 5 years or so. He's been one of the best striking, if not the best striking practitioner in the UFC. And how he finished Kelvin Gastelum too, and that was a really good fight, back and forth. Izzy, ultimately, for the most part of the fight, he had the upper hand though. But there were moments where he was tested, many moments in the striking department, and he kept his composure, and he ended up finishing that fight, I believe. Not to mention his glory background, his glory kickboxing background, which was pretty successful. I don't care what any of you say. His glory background, his glory kickboxing background was pretty successful. So I have to say Israel Adesanya. And he has flash with his kickboxing. Hey, that man is a whole package. He is a superstar. And he is top 5 strikers on my list. Number 3, Max Holloway. Now, Max Holloway is something a bit different than the 2 I mentioned. I wouldn't say that he has, at least of my knowledge, an extensive kickboxing or Muay Thai background. Joanna does. She's I don't know how many time Muay Thai and kickboxing champ, but she's a lot. And she was on a world level. She was a world champ at those aspects. And like I said, Izzy and his glory kickboxing background. Now, Max Holloway, I don't know if he has that. I'm pretty sure that he doesn't. I know he doesn't, actually, because he entered into the UFC at the age of, 19? I think he entered at 19, 20, to be the oldest, which is crazy to say. And his fighting style is what I would consider a melt you down style. He is a cardio style, boxing centric fighter, where he has kicks. He'll kick you, and he has great kicks, actually. His spinning back kick, amazing. But his boxing melts people. His head movement. He claims to be the best boxer in the UFC. I don't argue with him. You know, some people might say Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, you know, people of that nature, even like a Stipe. But in my opinion, I think Max Holloway is the best boxer in the UFC too, because of what he's done, what he did with Calvin Kattar, what he did to Jose Aldo, what he did to Brian Ortega should be illegal, okay? And it was all boxing centric. Melt you down. I'm gonna wear you down. I don't care if you punch me. I don't care if you kick me. I don't care if you try to take me down. I'm here. And that's what makes Max Holloway an amazing striker in my mind. He doesn't have to knock you out. He doesn't have that knockout power, but he will make you break. And so, number 3, Max Holloway. Number 4, this one might surprise some of you, Stephen Thompson. Stephen Thompson, he's kind of like the first two that I mentioned, except he never touched gold. But in my list, you don't necessarily have to have touched gold. He's actually the only person that didn't, okay? Alright, so, that doesn't really make my argument stand strong, does it? But yes, he's the only one on my list that has never touched gold. He almost did twice. But when you look at his karate background, his kickboxing background, the man he puts on striking clinics, and what he did to Johnny Hendricks was absolutely amazing. One of the best striking performances I've seen, period. What he did to Jake Ellenberger, absolutely outstanding. When he hit him with that spinning kick to the dome piece, and it was right on the top, right above his guard. Done. And he actually beat Jorge Masvidal too. I think a lot of people forget about that performance from Steven, because a lot of people might think it was a boring fight. But in my mind, although it didn't have the fireworks that people expected, it showed the ability that Stephen Thompson had to avoid damage while still scoring points. You know, he was still tagging him with those side kicks. He was especially with the step in side kick, and he'd move out of the way. Beautiful. He knew what his strengths were, and he knew that he didn't want to box with Jorge, who is a good boxer. Now, he's a strong boxer in the UFC as well. But Stephen Thompson, he definitely, he's one of the best. He's one of the best strikers in the UFC. I don't care if he didn't touch gold. Stephen Thompson. Now, number 5, I know I mentioned him in my best UFC fighters of all time, but that's one of the reasons why I put him in this list, because I think he's one of the best of all time because of his striking, and that's Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva in his prime, he was a striking god. He was. You know, he would destroy people, and he would make it look easy. And I haven't quite seen anybody in the UFC to make it look so easy yet. Like what he did to Forrest Griffin. If anybody watched the UFC, if anybody knows about Forrest Griffin back in the day with the UFC, we know that Forrest Griffin was as solid as it got to being a UFC champion. Stephan Bonner, he was solid. Chris Lieben, solid. And these were all solid strikers. Okay, who else did he? Yushin Okami, Vitor Belfort. The list goes on. Chael Sonnen, all striking clinics. And you can't ignore the fact that this man would knock people out and he wasn't considered a power puncher. He's not considered a power puncher, but I'm pretty sure he has some of the most knockouts in UFC history. Why? Because of his precision, because of his ability to just surprise people with his striking ability. Anderson Silva cannot be a no mention in my top 5 of UFC fighters who are strikers. Anderson Silva. Now, I do have two runner-ups, just like I did in the last video. My 2 runner-ups. Lyoto Machida and Jose Aldo. Boom. I have to mention Lyoto because Lyoto, first of all, he has a special place in my heart. He's one of my favorite UFC fighters of all time, honestly. I'm just gonna say that, you know. I don't mention him that much because I'm such a huge fan of, you know, the run that BJ Penn had, and I'm not gonna mention all of my favorite fighters because I want to shed light on Lyoto Machida and his striking ability. He was, first of all, the first true sight of how to be able to actually be successful as a karate practitioner in the UFC. And he would absolutely melt people. He'd be a wood chipper in there. You know, the way he knocked out Rashad Evans, the way he beat Shogun, the way he also didn't he beat Vitor as well? And so he was a striking magician, and I loved watching him fight. I loved his striking style. I looked forward to watching him fight every single time because it was so different and it was so beautiful to watch Lyoto Machida strike. And Jose Aldo, that man, he inspired leg kicks from people. He was the first sight for do you remember what he did to Uriah Faber? Now that was illegal. I thought Uriah was never going to be able to walk again because of the damage that Jose put on Uriah Faber. What he did to Chad Mendez, remember that? He had the body lock on Jose, and Jose turned around and kneed him in the face. Flash knocked him out. Then they met again. Jose put it to him then. Beat Chad again. He also beat Cub Swanson, who was another striking... He was a striking problem. And Jose ran through him. And so, literally, he ran through him. He kneed him in his face. Like, my goodness. Didn't he like give Mark Hominick that like huge hematoma on his forehead? And so we're talking about people who were just scary strikers in the UFC. And so my top 5 list: Joanna, Izzy, Max Holloway, Stephen Thompson, Anderson Silva. The runner-ups: Lyoto and Jose Aldo. Comment down below what you guys believe are the best strikers of all time in the UFC. Your top 5 doesn't have to be in a specific order, you guys. Doesn't have to be in a specific. And your 2 runner-ups. How about this? I'll actually pick random people, and in my next UFC talk, I will shout you guys out and post your list on it. And so comment down below and let the world know. Let me know what you guys think. Alright? And I'll catch you guys next time on the next UFC talk. Peace.